What's up everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's time for a recap of what went down on last week's episode of Teen Mom OG. I know my title here is very strong, but I'm going to explain exactly why I feel the way that I feel about Ryan Edwards' attitude towards his son Bentley Edwards in this video, so stay tuned for that. Teen Mom OG child Bentley Edwards has a new girlfriend, and as far as I'm concerned, he's like the first kid of the whole franchise to have like a quote-unquote serious, for his age, right, girlfriend. So that was quite the oh my god, they're growing up so fast moment for me. But unfortunately it's over pretty much just as soon as it's announced, because apparently Bentley's girlfriend had been going around the school talking crap about his haircut, and so when Bentley found out about it, he confronted her, she admitted to it, and he broke up with her. So he was about to be heading into middle school in the following year, and of course kids at that age are starting to like explore their feelings, their crushes, their dating and stuff like that. So Macy tells Taylor that she would love for him to have a conversation with Bentley about dating, you know, and treating women with respect and everything like that, which I thought was so beautiful. But she didn't want him to talk to Bentley about sex quite yet, which I'm curious about you guys' opinions of, just because I think at his age, grade 5, the next year when I was in school, we learned about sex ed and stuff in the 6th grade. So I was a bit surprised to hear that Macy did not want Taylor to talk to Bentley about it quite yet, because he was around that age where, you know, the birds and the bees talk typically does start to happen. Meanwhile, in Michigan, Catelynn thinks that making her baby's puree is too difficult after she spent a long time on social media bragging about how she was like a superior mom because she made her kids puree like from scratch by herself. And so she decides that she wants to be a spokesperson for a company that does like mass production of baby puree. Over in Los Angeles, meanwhile, Cheyenne and her sister hypothesize over whether or not Cory would be pissed off that he wasn't told that Ryder was in the hospital while he was competing on the challenge. She says that, you know, listen, I didn't make this decision unilaterally. I spoke with his parents, I spoke with his girlfriend Taylor. Everybody told me, don't tell him, don't mess up the game for him, just handle it, and if it gets worse, then tell him, but for now, it's fine, just let him compete. And she also said, I spoke to his producers as well, just to let him know before he got to my house to pick up Ryder that something did happen with her, and so we do have to be quite cautious about that, which I thought was very fair. But I didn't like how she was like, if he's upset about it, then like whatever, I don't want to hear it, because in my opinion, you're co-parenting with this person. So like if he tells you, hey listen, next time if ever I'm doing like another reality competition or whatever and something like this happened, I would like to know, you would think that Cheyenne, you know, or anybody who's co-parenting with someone like that would respect that. So I didn't, you know, love the kind of dismissive attitude that she had towards whatever his feelings might or might not have been towards being left in the dark about his daughter's, you know, medical condition. Now, Amber in Indiana is still talking about being quote-unquote burned in past relationships, which you guys, we all know Amber, you know, yes, she did have her share of bad boys as well, but Amber is a very abusive, toxic, terrible partner herself. So MTV plays a collage of all the men who wronged Amber, and in one of the collages you see her arguing with Gary, but then they conveniently leave out the part where she holds him up against the wall by his neck, choking him, and then she repeatedly slaps him in front of her father, all just because he didn't come to pick her up in time, or like something like that. Like if I'm remembering the episode correctly, she was upset because Gary did not drop everything to come and pick her up when her car broke down, and then she decided to choke him and slap him. And so MTV trimmed out that part in order to allow Amber to try to represent herself as the victim in all of her past relationships, which we all know is not the case in the slightest bit. And that's not to say that Gary is completely innocent. In my opinion, he was both emotionally and psychologically abusive to Amber throughout their relationship. She and Dimitri then talk about going to see her psychiatrist, which makes me really wonder what is wrong with this guy. He is in his mid-30s, he's a father himself, he already met her daughter on the 3rd day that he met Amber, and now here they are already going to see like her freaking shrink. You know, like a normal person would not put up with this stuff. So you do have to wonder what exactly is missing up there in his mind. Back down south, Mackenzie McKee is worried about her son Gannon because he's been crying alone quite a bit and refuses to talk about his grief. And he went on a sleepover at his friend's house but had to be returned home after he had a little bit of a breakdown over there and felt a little bit quote unquote homesick. And oh my God, it's just so hard to hear about, you know, the way that these kids have been handling their sadness about the loss of their grandmother. Meanwhile, in New York City, Kaitlyn and Tyler are in New York so that she could pitch her ideas to Little Spoon about, you know, being an influencer, a corporate ambassador, or whatever it is for them. And I about gagged when Tyler mansplained the mommy blogger angle to Kaitlyn. You know, like, can she literally do anything on her own? Now, this next scene between Black Widow Mac and her husband Junkie Ryan was a lot to take in. You've got her flagrantly orange face being cradled by her pale white hand and his alarmingly chipped front tooth just visually assaulting you with like no explanation from jump, right? And then once you get past all of that, you get into what the two of them have been doing since the season started. And that's why the title of this video is so damn dramatic, because at this point I'm like, you know what? I don't want to beat around the bush anymore when it comes to Ryan and Mackenzie and Bentley. Like, week after week, Ryan and Mackenzie are relentlessly picking on Ryan's poor son, Bentley. And this week, of course, was no different. Remember, at the beginning of the episode, we talked about how Bentley had a girlfriend and he had to break up with her because she was going around the school making fun of him behind his back. So his real parents, Macy and Taylor, handled it with a lot of care. They were like, oh, good for you for sticking up for yourself. Macy advised him to confront his girlfriend to make sure that the rumors and stuff were true as well. And they were empathetic to him about what it was that he was going through. But over here, Ryan and Mackenzie are just sitting at their house making fun of the heartbreak that his son just went through. So Mackenzie scoffs at how hurt he was about the breakup, and Ryan jokes that Bentley's the type of person that women will break up with for fun in the future because he's so dramatic. The kid is in the 5th grade and this was his first girlfriend, which is a big deal, and he had to break up with her because she was literally bullying him. And these two think that it's like the funniest thing ever. And so you gotta wonder, like, do these two hate this kid or something? Like, what is it? Like, the other week they were making fun of him because of golfing and stuff. In the preview for the next week's episode, they're like, oh my God, he's wrestling, it's gonna stunt his body, his growth. Like, they're always picking on this poor child, and it just makes me so uncomfortable to watch. I'm like sick to my stomach at how these people talk about this child on television for the whole world to see. On the flip side of this segment, we get Taylor talking to Bentley about dating and respecting women as a parent should to his son. So he tells Bentley that he needs to treat girls with respect and also make sure that they treat him with respect as well. I thought it was a good conversation that he was having with Bentley. It was an important conversation to have with Bentley, but Bentley was very clearly uncomfortable with the conversation. So I also don't think that it was fair for him to have this convo with Bentley in front of television cameras, you know, like, and this is where the show gets really, really awkward, right? Because these kids are old enough to feel self-conscious about what's going out there on television, but unfortunately their parents keep violating their privacy rights by signing them up for this show and airing out all of their dirty laundry for the world to see. So now Bentley didn't just go through his first breakup like all kids do. He had his mom talking about it on television. He's got his older brother and stepmother making fun of him on television, and now he's got his dad giving him relationship advice on TV that is very clearly making him uncomfortable as well. So I think that it is way too much at this point, and I felt genuinely bad for him watching him fidget as Taylor kept going on and on. Again, it was a great conversation to have with Bentley, but I don't think it was fair to have it on television. Over in Los Angeles, Cory is back from his time competing on the challenge, and when he and Taylor are talking about the state of Ryder, something kind of made me go a little because earlier on in the episode, Cheyenne said that Taylor, Cory's parents, and everybody told her not to tell Cory that Ryder was sick. But then when Taylor was talking to Cory about the decision not to tell him that Ryder was sick while he was competing in the challenge, Taylor said that she didn't know. She was like, I didn't know whether or not that we should tell you. So I was like, these stories are not adding up. One of these women is lying. Who do you think it is? Up in New York City, Kaitlyn arrives to her meeting at Little Spoon in full drag, and all the girls who work there seem to be total fangirls of hers. I love that Kate actually pitched them on a video concept and seemed proud of herself. This really has been a good season for her, and I'm proud of her as well. Guys, I wasn't a fan of McKenzie confronting Gannon about his grief on camera. This is a situation similar to the Bentley thing, where you can see that these children are very visibly uncomfortable about having these conversations on television or like in front of the camera people or whatever, but the parents just keep pushing it. The good thing though is that Mackenzie was like, listen, I don't want to force this conversation, so she does eventually drop it, and thank goodness for that. In Indiana, again, Amber goes to her psychiatrist to cry about not being shown a loving relationship growing up as a child, and she also opens up about how she used to pray for her father to die because of how awful he was as an alcoholic, which I felt was a really deep level of vulnerability that I actually appreciated on the show, because I'm sure a lot of people could probably relate to that kind of guilt that she feels about that, like where she's like devastated that her dad is gone, but she's also acknowledging that like he was awful while he was around, and she used to pray that he would die. So it's a very conflicting situation that she's going through there. Then she starts convulsing with fake tears and even has the audacity to waste tissue drying them away. I don't know why she is so dedicated to this. If she just put some money towards some acting classes, maybe she could like conjure up like 2 or 3 tears maybe, but like she doesn't. Instead, she cheaps out and just has dry tears and thinks we're not going to say anything about it. Back down south again, Mackenzie and Josh start kind of debating what they can do for their son Gannon and what it is that he's going through with grief and sadness and stuff. And so Josh was actually kind of the voice of reason. He was like, I think we should take him to the doctor to have him kind of evaluated to see what it is that they can do for him medically. And Mackenzie flat out refused. She said, no, they're gonna put him on medication and that's gonna make him go crazy. That's what they did to me. They put me on medication and it made me like super depressed and suicidal, and that's when I wrecked my car. If you guys remember, she got a car brand new and crashed it almost immediately, and now she's claiming that that was a result of feeling suicidal because of the medication that doctors put her on, which is a little bit interesting because back in the day when it happened, I very clearly remember the explanation for it being that she was low on blood sugar or something like that because she is diabetic. So I'm not really sure where the truth kind of lies there. And in the final scene of the episode, Cory returns home and Cheyenne explains her decision to not tell him about the hospitalization of Ryder, and he thanks her for making co-parenting easy. I seriously love watching these two co-parent. They're just such a good team together, and it's also kind of funny. It was a complete 180 because in the first few episodes of the season, Cory was relentlessly attacking Cheyenne's motherhood. Remember, he was claiming that Cheyenne was not putting their daughter first. She was not putting proper rules in place and structure in her household for Ryder to like listen, behave, to go to bed at an appropriate time. He was like, Cheyenne, you need to start reading her bedtime books. Like, he was really going in on her, and now he's gone back to the way that they used to be, and that is really nice to see. Anyway, you guys, that does it. Another recap of what went down on last week's episode of Teen Mom OG. But as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. But as usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.